Hello and welcome to another BoP podcast preview, whatever you want to call it. I'm back with CK and we're previewing this Brighton game because I'm gonna be real with you. I forgot that we didn't do a preview. That's the degree that we're getting to right now. So, yeah, CK, how are you feeling about this game?
Obviously we lost last game 3-0. So going into this game, you have to turn it around. We're at home again, finally. Brighton haven't been good recently.
No.
They've lost the last 6 games, 7 games. I don't know what it is. But I know for sure they've lost their last 5 games, I'm sure. Yeah, they've lost the last time they won was versus Watford in February. So they lost to United, Burnley, Villa, Newcastle and Liverpool, and they've scored 1 goal in their last 5 games. But they've been creating chances. And they lost to Tottenham, yeah. So they've been creating chances, but they haven't been finishing them off. Obviously, their striker's been Mope. I think they should use Welbeck a bit more, but I'm not sure they will today. So going into this game, obviously, I don't know what Arteta's going to do because Partey's injured, Tierney's injured, so he has to make a decision about the lineup. And obviously, Lacazette was not good last game. Odegaard wasn't good. Our whole team pretty much wasn't good, and the wingers weren't getting the ball enough. So we need to change something. And I'm just intrigued to see what he changes, who starts, and what system we go with, because I think it will be evident the first 5 to 10 minutes how effective what we'll do will be.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. So I think the panic comes from not being able to understand where we're going to go from here. I think the injuries are one thing, but a lot of people are going to, especially the people that are loving this 4-3-3 attacking, flowing football style. Me being one of them, I love a 4-3-3. But the thing is, people are nervous because they don't. Uncertainty creates anxiety, and when you see Thomas Partey, who's been amazing in this season, you see Kieran, who's really taken it up a notch, especially in 2022. It leads to anxiety because we don't know what the system will be. I think once Mikel puts the lineup out and everyone kind of knows what kind of things we're going with. If we're going to go Emil Forsberg, we're going to go Gabby up top, we're going to go Lacazette again, and we're going to, you know what I mean? There's so many different permutations, pivot versus 4-3-3. Some people are saying 3 at the back. For me, I don't think he's going to go with anything too crazy. I think 4-2-3-1 and keep it compact centrally and try and use the width of the pitch, especially with Cucurella, who's so high these days. There's space behind him. I think Mikel realized in that first game that he's so good offensively that he's got to be able to take that advantage of that space. And even in the away leg of this fixture, we were having chances down that side, which I remember. I don't know if you remember, we had that chance with Emil and Pepe combining, and I think it was some I can't remember who finished it and didn't get it on target, but there was a lot of chances to get behind them here, and I think Mikel's going to realize that. I hope he does. He builds up builds up left. I think if he goes Xhaka and really tries to exploit the space in behind Cucurella on that left hand side, you can release Bukayo and really really pin him back, because we don't want him going at Cedric as much. So my hope is just pin them back on their left, on our right, really exploit that mismatch, because Bukayo is a mismatch on anyone in this league. So that's my hope. What do you hope we do?
It depends who he plays on the left wing. So if we go with like wing forward type, and I'd want Emil instead of Laka, and have Nelly touchline, but Tavares being the inside channel. Obviously, there's going to be some variation with Nelly sometimes coming inside and Tavares being on the touchline, but he'll prefer to be inside, and Martinelli would prefer to start touchline anyways. So I'd want that. Obviously, since they've lost Dan Burn, they've been a bit weird with their left back situation. Obviously, Lamptey's come back. He hasn't been as good. Obviously, something's wrong with him. He keeps getting injured. But I think I'd honestly take Lacazette out, put in
I think I
Martinelli,
would too.
or Smith Rowe, whichever one he wants to put left wing and striker, and then just allow Martinelli to be the one to drop deep, or allow Smith Rowe to be the one to drop deep and combine with the likes of Erdegaard and the Congo, because obviously you want Erdegaard's confident, and especially at home, he loves the combination, plays central. He just shows off whenever he's confident. So I'd want to get Erdegaard as many touches of the ball to get him confident again, same as Tavares. Just get them on the ball a lot to up their confidence, because they haven't been good in the recent
No,
games.
they haven't. I mean, the other thing is I feel like hopefully we'll go without. I like calling it the elbow midfield because it's like a pivot, but kind of goes up with Erdegaard, because Erdegaard prefers to hit prefers that right half space. But I hope we see Lokonga higher and central this game. I think hopefully, like there's a niggling part of me that thinks he's just going to go El Neni, isn't he? He's just going to go El Neni and Xhaka, and if he does, it's going to piss me off. But if he does go Lokonga, which I do hope he does, I hope we see him in that advanced role. We see him in that central area where he's allowed to pick his progressive passes, carry the ball, do what he does best, do what he was doing against Crystal Palace. I think it's a very big opportunity for him, and if he can really,
with Partey out, we have to go to a pivot. Obviously, I think Lokonga naturally is more of a 6 than Partey, and Partey is more, and Lokonga is more risk averse with his passing. Like Partey, regardless of where he's playing, is going to try and force them vertical passes between the line, which is not what a 6 naturally does. Sixes are less penetrating than Partey, but I think with Lokonga, he's more of a natural controller, so will dictate play better. But in transition, Partey's a lot better, and Lokonga likes to step up anyways. So I'd prefer it to be a pivot to allow Lokonga to naturally step up, and maybe because we haven't seen him in that starting months, maybe his positioning improved, his controlled aggression has improved, and he's now a full-blown 6. But I just don't think he will be this season. So
it's just his traits. It doesn't make sense to put him at a 6. I know that the common perception of Sambi is that he said he was a 6 in that interview, so he's obviously going to be a 6. I just think that if you're going to play Sambi, what are his strengths? His strengths. He's good in duels, but he's not amazing. I wouldn't say in transition he's going to be that guy who's going to be that transition stopper. His strengths are progressive passing, progressive carries, quick passing, quick ability to break the lines. That's where he's best, pulling the strings, and that is more towards like the higher man in a pivot or an 8. But I would prefer the pivot because
I just prefer pivot, having higher, decreases defensive responsibility, and Xhaka's great to elite positionally, and it will very much help him being deeper and him dictating the ball as well, because I think it naturally suits him to be less high and less on the attacking side of things, and just being deeper and
just physically as well.
And dictate play rather than focusing on trying to create the goal per se. I think obviously the defensive line. If Tommy's fit, would you bring him back in?
I mean, he's not fit. I mean, he's out till after Southampton. But the minute and I could see your face. But like, if he was fit, he'd come straight in. But he's not fit. The thing with Tommy is I feel like he would provide that third man in midfield when he inverts, and be able to give you that extra man in transition that we don't have right now because Cedric likes to overlap. So he would walk straight in for me. I mean, there's even part of me that goes,
for me, he wouldn't, just because there will be space for Cedric to step up because Cucurella stays high or goes high. So
see that's thinking to win. I'm still in that sort of like, we need to just be as compact as possible. But that's how Mikel would probably think. I think he looks to win games.
with me, what like Saka's been more inside with Cedric coming in. Obviously, Saka is touchline when Tommy and Odegaard are together because they both fight for the same space, deep or right. Obviously, Odegaard has slowly been stepping up into the right wing and attacking more space a lot more recently, and he's been good at that recently. But we haven't seen this version of Odegaard with Tommy a lot because Tommy got injured February versus Liverpool.
No, January, man.
No, early Feb because he was on the bench versus Brentford. So.
No, I mean we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him since the Liverpool game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was in early, the very start of February.
That was late Jan, I think, wasn't it?
The Carabao Cup.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
it does. Early
it doesn't matter, but yeah.
February 19th was the last time we saw Tomiyasu. Yeah, versus Brentford. So Odegaard has been a bit different since then for me. That he's been a lot more willing to hold the width than he has been his whole career, pretty much. He hasn't really been asked to do it as much, especially in La Liga, where he dominates that right half space. So him having more variation to his play just allows Saka inside more, and Cedric just naturally steps up. So Odegaard has more space to operate because he's not fighting for it with Tommy. So for me, I wouldn't bring Tomiyasu back in immediately, especially because Cedric has been good pretty much every game.
I mean, one question I did want to ask you, CK, is, and I'll answer it after you, but there's a lot of talk about reverting to that 4-4-2, having the 4-1 build up, because Nuno looked so good in it earlier in the season. Would you go to a 4-1, or would you stick with a 3-2 and try and get Xhaka into that third centre back role and push Tavares up?
Well, we did last time we did play Tavares on the Congos, Watford.
Yeah. And
we did play that 2-4-4 you're talking about. It works well depending on who's in the left wing in the front four for me, because Tavares will look to progress, and whenever he did versus Watford that game, he was touchline a lot and whipping balls into the box. But with Martinelli, his space to step up is limited. Obviously,
because he's so wide.
Yeah. Obviously, they're smart footballers and they'll work around each other. But naturally, Martinelli wants to stand touchline, or if he's striker, he'll drop into the left half space a bit. So, if Martinelli is the left winger, I'm not sure it will be as effective, just because his space to step won't be as good. Lacazette and Odegaard are good at home, so I'm not sure he'll change it. But for me, I'd take him out just to show him that he's not invincible with his performance last game, because I think we'll go with a 3-2, I think.
I would go 3-2 as well. I think Xhaka dropping into that third. Yeah. I think because the thing is with the 3-2, it pushes Nuno higher, and it takes away that nervousness of him being that receiving deep, and it puts him where he wants to be, making that out to in run. I would personally.
We also had Ainsley last time. We played the 2-4-4. We also had Ainsley instead of Xhaka, who is just more agile and more willing to drive with the ball. Because Xhaka will prefer to progressively pass than progressively carry like Ainsley did. So there was two progressive carrying threats in Nuno and Ainsley together, rather than it being a carrier and a passer in Xhaka. And it is very different for how we move the ball up the pitch. Obviously, Lokonga sometimes will just sit and pick a ball over the top. We saw that versus Newcastle a lot. That comp everyone's putting about. He was higher up the pitch, but people are calling him a 6 from that. Anyways, he was higher up the pitch and he was trying to pick passes over the top to Saka, and it worked very well. And Saka's goal came from Tavares being in the inside channel, combining with Emil and Saka. So I just think either way, I'd prefer Xhaka to be the one deep left controlling and dictating the play, because I trust Nuno more to come back and transition.
And this is the other thing. I mean, they're all great points, especially because you have two different profiles in progression in Xhaka and Ainsley. It's a great point. For me, I just think that you want to put your players in the best position they have to succeed. And if you put Nuno deep in a 4-1, you're inviting that anxiety, that looseness on the ball. Oh crap! What if I lose the ball? Then it's one-on-one with Gabriel on my side, and we're all tracking back. I think if you're going to put someone high, you need to put Nuno high. You can't just have him. I mean, maybe in future games after he's sort of regained a bit of his confidence, but right now we need him high. We need him to have the ability to not worry as much.
Obviously, he's a left back. He's going to have defensive responsibility, but for me,
no. I mean, in build up.
Yeah, I'm saying I'd want us to have him high to limit the risk of a mistake of his cost.
That's my point. That's my point. That's my point. My point is
from goal as you can have him, but let him still be comfortable, but move him as far away from the goal so that a mistake or bad touch or bad parts of his isn't costly enough for it to affect his confidence. That's my view.
I mean, before we do move on to predictions, like I want to talk about Brighton a bit because obviously you mentioned that run they had. I don't know if it's. I mean, there's that whole trope of on the beach, like players booking flights, and they're already halfway on holiday, and they're safe. There's nothing to play for, etc. But for me, there are fundamental issues with the way they play. Obviously, they have strengths. I mean, you have the likes of Bissouma, Lamptey, Cucurella, Webster. If he's back, I don't know if he's going to be back or not because Potter was a bit ambiguous about that. A lot of different Sanchez in goal. A lot of good players, but the issue is they don't have a focal point. Like it's sort of similar to us. They don't really have a focal point that they can depend on. I mean, they have Welbeck, but they don't really use him like that. And MoP isn't really that guy. So they do have issues, and I just think that it's very funny that we were having talks of Potter finishing in the top 4 in September. And seeing where they are now, what do you make of Brighton?
Well, with the injuries and the sale of what's his name, Dan Burn. Sorry, yeah. Mm-hmm. In the 3, they don't have a left centre back. They play Cucurella left centre back and Solly March left mid. So Cucurella's a bit deeper, and his effectiveness has lessened over the season. Yeah. The last 7 games, they've got 1 point versus Norwich, and they could have lost if not for chances missed. So yeah, like the system isn't as good and as effective. Obviously, they create chances and they'll always be high on the XP charts just because it's the type of team they are. Every type of team like this will create chances in their 3-2-5/3-5-2. But I just think their makeup of their team and the players they lack isn't helping them. I think that obviously he doesn't use Welbeck as much, so he doesn't have the effective outlet that you can just take pressure off your team by lumping the ball up to him, so that they've eradicated a way for them to escape pressure. That's not just build up. And obviously Robert Sanchez hasn't been as comfortable on the ball as he was earlier in the season and last season. That has led to his high profile and high ratings. So in progression, they're not as good either. And obviously Veltman is slow legs. He's not the same. You can't trust him the same as you do.
They really miss a trick with that Webster. They really do. Yeah. Like he runs that progression
to cover the spaces. They don't have Ben White right centre back to cover the spaces that Lamptey leaves when he steps up. So, and Veltman is 34, 35 now. He's not the same Veltman that we see at Ajax. So they have an inability to cover wide spaces without Dan Burn. And obviously Dan Burn used to get, I'm not going to make a pun, Saka used to get past him a lot when we do play them.
He'd get burned.
No, I'm not saying that. They've got in the wide centre-back spaces, in the channel between the centre-back and the right-back, just because they have basically 2 wingers, because 2 right midfielders in March and Lamptey, who will want to step up. So it will leave a lot of 1v1 opportunities for Miro Martinelli, whoever's playing left wing versus Veltman right centre back, and then whoever's playing right wing, Saka most likely 90% versus Cucurella. I think the sale of Burn has hurt them. because they've lost aerial presence, but they didn't expect Webster to be injured. So Webster being injured is really put a lot of pressure on Dunk to maintain the spaces and the aerial duels in their defense, because they were very good aerially, but they've lost their two pillars in Webster and Byrne.
I mean, Byrne is what, 6'6", 6'7", something ridiculous like that.
7.
Makes us look like midgets, CK, man. Jesus. Like, but like, the one thing I would say about Brighton is they, and this is a major thing about Webster, because everyone's looking at stats charts and getting crazy for Webster. When your progression is run through basically one person in Webster, it means that his usage rate is higher and his ability to progress the ball is higher. This is why I always frown against just using the charts. I mean, who else runs their progression? Bissouma is much higher these days.
Bissouma, and he hasn't played as much recently. He hasn't played as much.
So this is the thing. So when you also, have like, your progression,
So it's cut off, but with like Dunk, they're not using his long ball. Like, he's got a very good long ball. Same as Webster, they've got good long balls to the striker that you can use to take away the middle third. Like, you can just eradicate the middle third by putting Welbeck there, because he's a very good outlet, despite missing a lot of chances and getting injured a lot. He's a very good outlet that you could use to just give another option, give another threat, like provide another threat that you don't have without him. Lump the ball up top and just someone to take away pressure from the team, and they're not doing that. And for me, he should do that. And it's not what a JDP team will do. A positional play team. That's not a positional play trait. But sometimes we do it, City do it, everybody does it. Liverpool do it. Alisson just lumps, or Van Dijk will lump a ball to Salah's chest, 60 yards. You eradicate the whole press, and then you start from 60 yards up the pitch rather than the edge of your penalty box.
I mean, we do it with Ramsdale to Martinelli constantly.
Yeah. Sometimes you need another option just to move the ball up the pitch a lot quicker, because no matter how good your build-up is, a perfect ball 70 yards up the pitch will always be faster to get the ball in the final third. So they need to add I think they should just use Welbeck to help them remove pressure from but they're not doing it.
I mean,
in the past 7 years.
I mean, I think we move on to what we think is going to happen this game. For me, I just don't see them. Like, maybe it's me being too cocky. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too ambitious with it, but I just don't see them getting a goal today. I think you do, CK, that you see them nicking one, but I think we win this 2-0. I think it's going to be a quite fairly. It's not going to be an easy game, but I think it will be one of those games where you have like one, maybe just before or after half time, and then we sort of cruise it out and get a second. I don't think it's going to be that. But there's not going to be a lot of because we're going to be in their half a lot. I don't see them coming at us. I don't see a Palace press. I don't see an aggressive press. I don't really see them. I mean, what do you think of their press, CK? I don't think they're very aggressive with it.
Well, they play Trossard and what's his name? Mope. They've had a good press, like versus Liverpool, and they cause chances. But if you're gonna miss big chances, you're gonna concede. Like they started strongly.
But they gassed though. This is the thing. They
started strongly. Liverpool scored. That's what it was. Liverpool scored. Yeah. They scored from what's his name? Robert Sanchez just taking out Diaz, and then Liverpool scored, and then pretty much you can't really continue to take pressure and dominate a team that's up, because you have to change your tactics. Like the first goal counts so much that Brighton have scored one goal in the past 7 games, so you can't really rely on them to continue scoring. So I think the first goal will be big today. Hopefully, I think we'll win 2-1, and just someone's gonna cause a mistake. I'd prefer we win 3-0 or 1-0 or something like that. Just get a
obviously, because 2-0 would be detrimental to use it. So 3-0 or 1-0 for CK would be nice. But let's see what happens. Like, I know there's a lot of nervousness, a lot of trepidation. I hope that it's going to be one of those where we're all, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous. I think we're all pretty nervous. So let's see what happens. You never know what happens. It is football at the end of the day. And on that note, I think we'll call it a day. I mean, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Follow everyone. They're in the description. Follow the Instagram, follow the TikTok, follow all the stuff. I'm almost finished on one of the member content videos. So if you do want to be a member, it would be greatly appreciated. We're going to be releasing a trailer for that soon, hopefully. But let's see what happens today. We're all a bit on edge, but I think that should be that. Any final words, Zico?
Follow everybody. Karen, me, George, Willer. Follow BoP Footy on Twitter and Instagram. I've been slacking with the TikTok, but I'll get back on it. And yeah, we'll be back Monday probably, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk to the robot. We'll see what he's. Hopefully Monday. Anyway,
and hopefully United lose in 5 minutes.
Hopefully, yeah. That's, I think, I think that's why we're ending it now, isn't it, ZK? I think we're not going to watch that. Anyway, see you soon, lads.